This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What, am I an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Welcome to the Godless Revolution. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd. This is episode 222. I'm a little bit more furry-faced guy Dan this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got a good week growth on there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a week and a half almost.
I have the longest beard in the studio for now. I'm sure you'll catch me.
For at least a few weeks. I'm really excited for next week's show. Not that I'm not excited for this show, but I'm excited for next week's show. We'll have Shawn in studio with us.
And it's something we haven't done a show like this before, so...
No, we haven't. I think we've only had the one show ever with a Christian guest.
And it didn't go well?
No, that didn't go well at all.
This will be much better.
Yeah, I've got a lot higher hopes for this one.
Mm.
Yeah, me too. It should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to asking him a lot of questions about what he believes and why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how those beliefs, how he can maintain a lot of those beliefs simultaneously, because a lot of Christian thought seems to be self-contradicting. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What have you guys been doing over the last week?
Worked overtime. Yeah, that's about it.
That's about it. Worked overtime and took videos of Oz.
Yeah, because, I guess he was throwing up when I was at work.
Oh, yeah?
So he wasn't feeling so well, so I was babying him.
What was he throwing?
When he would eat, he was, not keeping food down.
Exercising too much or running around too much, maybe?
Maybe a combination of both, or a combination of drinking the nasty puddle water at the dog park.
That'll do it.
So we don't let him go by the puddles in the dog park. And Sarah did online research that said to probably got a stomach virus and to not feed him a whole lot for 24 hours. So he was hangry.
Yeah.
That he wasn't getting fed a lot.
Did he have bowel issues as well, or just vomiting?
Not that I saw. Then he didn't throw up at all since I've been home.
Huh.
So I think he just missed me.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we recorded last week, then I had to go to work the next day.
And
I show up to work. And
that's why we didn't do a Patreon section of the show.
Yeah, I was tired.
Oh, at work, yeah?
And I show up and they're like, hey, get your stuff ready. We got live burns. I'm like, are you fucking shitting me?
What's a live burn?
We had to do live fire training. We got a building, we put pallets in it and we light it on fire and we go in and put the fire out.
Oh.
So we had to go do that all morning.
Oh.
And then they're like, hey, we need to go finish working on the new training tower. It's like, fuck. I just want a nap.
It's my first day here. Come on.
And it's an overtime. The overtime's supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't get done until about 6 or 7 o'clock that night before I finally got to eat dinner and sit down and be like, okay, now I can take a nap.
It does sound a little bit odd, I think, to the people who have normal shifts that you're ready to go into work to sleep.
Yeah. Well, I'm there for 72 hours.
Like, man, I know, but it just sounds funky. You're like, man, I'm so tired. I need to go to work so I can get some sleep.
That's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, it's that first day in is always hard the first morning because it's a 2-hour drive. I wake up around between 4:30 and 5, drive in 2 hours and get there, and it's rough that first day.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Oh, you had no idea that they were going to be doing the live burn?
No. Usually in the morning, it's hey, check truck out, go get breakfast. If we're doing stuff, we're usually not doing heavier stuff until 10 or 11. So I can usually go in, check the truck out, and relax for a second. And this was, oh no, we're going to go do live fires right now.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know we were doing that immediately first thing in the fucking morning when I showed up.
Hey, welcome. It's great to see you. We're going to go do some shit now.
Yeah. So that was fun.
And you, sir?
Yeah, I got some thoughts from the week.
Oh,
a few of them.
Some prepared thoughts.
That's that's what I've been doing since I realized that I could do that.
Awesome.
I want to finally put to rest the confusion surrounding Mormons and the whole coffee thing.
Okay.
The word of wisdom and whether they're allowed to or not, or how that all works.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
It goes like this, okay?
All right.
Caffeinated soda is okay, but coffee and tea are forbidden because Mormon texts discourage hot drinks. Right?
Yep.
It's not about the caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Hot chocolate is okay despite being hot because the interpretation of hot drinks actually means brewed drinks, not hot drinks.
Okay.
So iced tea and iced coffee are forbidden despite being cold because they're brewed.
Okay.
Okay.
Herbal tea, hot or iced, are okay despite being brewed because they're caffeine free. So hopefully that clears it up for everybody.
I'm still confused because some teas have caffeine in them.
Well, sure, but not herbal teas, generally speaking.
Okay. Now, I had always heard it was because of the tannins in coffee.
Well, it depends on who you ask and in which decade you've asked them. Like, I can remember when I was a kid, it was, that they couldn't have hot drinks. They couldn't drink coffee and everything because it had caffeine in it.
Right.
Well, then they started, then they realized, hot chocolate has caffeine in it. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but here in Utah, we have, beyond just the regular and the diet version of all the sodas, there's the regular and the diet, and then also the regular caffeine-free and the diet caffeine-free version of a ton of the major soft drinks here.
Well, I think that's national.
I'm sure they're available nationally, but like here in Utah, it's
bigger.
Yeah, there's a much larger market for that because Mormons for so long didn't use caffeine at all.
I just remember my grandma always drinking diet soda with no caffeine because she had diabetes.
What does the caffeine have to do with diabetes?
I don't know what she drank.
Yeah, the coffee, tea, soda conundrum is the Mormon Trinity. None of them knows what it means for sure. They all give you different answers.
Yeah. And like I say, the answer has shifted over the decades. Like I said, when I was a kid, it was that it had caffeine in it. And then later it was, after people pointed out, hot chocolate has caffeine in it. Regular chocolate has caffeine. There's a shit ton of things that the regular Diet Coke has caffeine in it.
But here's the big question. What about Monsters? I know a lot of Mormons who drink the shit.
Well, now they do. Now they do. But in the past, drinking caffeine was seen as the same as drinking a beer, as far as Mormons were concerned. They were both way, way, way out of whack with the word of wisdom. So you weren't supposed to do any of that. So, if it's in the word of wisdom or, if it's interpreted a way that the word of wisdom covers it and you do that thing, that's just as bad as, taking a shot of whiskey or whatever.
Yeah. I just know two of my Mormon chiefs. One always drinks Dr. Pepper. He's like, it's my weakness, Dr. Pepper. It's my one thing I can drink at work and get away with it. And one always is drinking Monsters. Like,
he's a monster?
Yeah, unhealthy amount. I mean, there's an unhealthy amount of Monsters drank at my work.
Yeah.
I don't drink them. I don't like them. But all the other guys, like, I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning and somebody will have 2 Monsters before 9:00.
Yeah.
Like, how
it just makes you feel like shit. Well, yeah, but then it shifted. So then it wasn't just about caffeine. Then it was, then it was, there's some disagreement on this, but, I'm choosing to stay away from caffeine as much as possible because it is a drug.
Yeah.
And then now I know that Dampf, the dumbass motherfucker that I used to work with, he had a bottle of just caffeine pills. That he would take caffeine pills all the fucking time.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, wait, you're taking caffeine pills? What is that all about? I thought you weren't supposed to have caffeine. He's like, well, no, caffeine's fine. And I'm like, when was this a thing that caffeine is fine now for Mormons?
Right.
And he's like, oh, it's always been fine. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, that's not at all true. When I was a kid, you could not have caffeine in your sodas, coffee. That's why coffee wasn't allowed because it had caffeine in it.
It's just like how they try to change words from a cuss word to not a cuss word.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's not coffee.
Yeah. Well, so then I asked him, I'm like, okay, so if it isn't the caffeine, like, why can't you have coffee and stuff like that? Well, because of the tannins in it.
Yeah.
And so when you said tannins, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what they're saying now is because of the tannins in it. But of course they don't take into account the tannins that are in every other fucking thing that they eat or drink.
Right.
I would say coffee is way better than taking a handful of caffeine pills or drinking the Monsters or having the Coke.
Yeah. But he doesn't really think about it. He's just going by what he's told.
Do. Yeah. And the other thing is the shopping on Sundays being forbidden. That's going away too. So I mean, they're drinking Diet Cokes while they're shopping on Sunday in their church clothes. They're in stores in their church clothes. So they pick and choose just like everybody else.
Oh yeah, whatever suits them at the time.
Yep. So I am caught up on the Two Skeptical Chaps now. Yeah, man. Dan is out of control. He is drunk with power. I don't know why he's so strict about whether people get promoted or demoted. It's just gone to his head so far.
Well, and he seems to have ultimate authority of the decision. It's just like, Spike will cut in and he's like, well, perhaps maybe we ought to not do this because
he's from India.
Yeah. I'm trying to nail the South African accent. I'm failing terribly.
Rant and rave.
Yeah. Rant and rave. He tries to be the voice of reason. Be a little more diplomatic about it. And Dan's just like, no, this is the way we are doing it.
Yeah. And so that got me thinking about just the way that we got connected and, that whole thing. And so I put together a couple little thoughts here for them. Bear with me. So everybody knows they promote, people through the ranks and if they use a story that's sent to them by one of their agents or whatever, they promote, in the ranks for that kind of thing. And, I was the one who originally contacted them and have remained one of the lowest ranks they have for months now. Because Dan doesn't like the words that I say.
Because you're sassy.
Yeah. But I'm responsible for a big chunk of their audience and many of their agents. I mean, there's a whole host and guests they've had on the show.
Yeah.
Came through me. But I'm still ranked low while people get promoted for pushing a button and sending a story. Then I realized it's not really Dan's fault, actually.
Huh?
He's being perfectly British about the whole thing.
Dan almost spit his drink out.
I'm glad I waited.
Yeah, he's shamelessly taking the resources while suppressing the giver and squashing free speech. Imperialism is in his DNA. Sipping tea and IPAs from old oppressive South Asia colonizing with no remorse. He did work his way through a lot of school, and he's a focused martial artist. And even through all of that, just like a monarch of the past, with a little power, he's been able to remain as humble and modest as Kanye West. So I finally realized something that made sense of all of this, and it's about perspective, isn't it? We had different ideas about what our relationship was. I'm not Dan's friend or colleague, as I once thought. In his mind, I'm India. No.
Uh-huh.
So just some thoughts I had.
Wow.
Over the week.
So how do you really feel?
Well, here, it's on my sleeve. I'll just hand it to you.
I look forward to hearing what Dan has to say about all of that. That should be fun.
Oh, I know what it's going to be.
Is he going to womp you?
Probably. I don't know if he can.
Oh, that's fun.
He'll have to give me a mop if he demotes me any further.
Well, man, I can just promote you to station chief.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't even know that he would give you a mop. He'd probably give you the materials to make a mop.
Yeah.
Let's see. I went to the Wasatch or Mountain West Hard Cider Oktoberfest on Sunday.
Oh,
that was nice. Went with Callie and Caitlin, who we've had on the show. And actually last year when I was there, Taylor and Sandra were there with us.
Okay.
So
has that already been a year?
Yeah. Can you believe that? Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. A full year now. It doesn't seem nearly that long ago, does it?
It seemed like a few months ago.
Yeah. But that was a lot of fun. It's gotten a lot bigger. I think I preferred the festival or the Oktoberfesty thing that they do last year a bit more. This year it was more, I don't know, they had more booths there, but it was I don't know, they weren't really related to the Mountain West hard cider thing. It was just people there selling their wares, which is fine. I didn't particularly care for that a whole lot. They had the same amount of space, but more booths. And so like last year they had, cornhole and some other games and stuff that people were playing. And they still had that this year, but they were like really, the space was really tight.
Okay.
And
some cornholes are tight.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the weather was nice. They had a fucking awesome autumn punch drink.
Okay.
That was like
Wait, was it pumpkin spicy?
No, it wasn't. Okay. It wasn't really pumpkin spice, but it was, autumn flavors. So it had like, cinnamon and cardamom and apple and stuff like that. But then they used, you could use the Porter's apple. Have you guys tried that? The Porter's apple whiskey? It was pretty tasty.
Oh, I smelled that though. I think you had some, didn't?
Well, we've had the, of course, we've had the Porter's Fire, and the Porter's Peach is really good.
Oh yeah.
I hadn't seen that they had Porter's apple, but they were making the cocktails out of that. It was really fucking tasty. I had several of them. And then we went to Red Rock and had dinner and then came home. 'Cause we're old, and after having a few drinks and walking around and then having dinner, it was sleepy time.
I like sleepy time.
It was, replaced the kitchen faucet. That was a bit of a chore. That took several hours because I'm a fat guy who's out of shape and can't squeeze into small places very easily. So removing the old faucet was a big fucking hassle, and then reattaching the new one and doing all that. And it's one of the automatic touchless faucets with a sensor on it. So that was a whole new deal.
Rig the battery box and the power thingy to it.
Yep. Oh, changed our show notes to OneNote. I don't know if anybody in the audience uses OneNote, but I just recently started using it like this last week.
OneNote's the name of the program?
Yeah. It's Microsoft OneNote. Oh. It's fucking awesome, man. I can sync shit wherever, and it's all cloud-based. Like I get to it from wherever. and like you can just drag and drop whatever into it. It documents, text, links, pictures, whatever. And it's really super easy to organize and find shit. And so I've moved all of our show notes over to it.
I downloaded it right onto my phone.
It's really, you can get the free app on your phone. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. What else? Still haven't shaved. Starting to itch a little bit.
I hate that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Right along the neckline, it's starting to itch a little bit. And I became a Beto O'Rourke superfan this week.
Oh,
what?
After we recorded last.
What brought that up?
I think
we got a clip.
I got a clip here I can play for y'all. But he's very cool.
It's a reedy clip.
So this is from YouTube. It's posted by Now This News.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. I didn't actually watch this yet.
It's really, really good. I was very, very impressed. So this is Beto O'Rourke at kind of a town hall kind of thing where he's speaking to hopeful constituents if he wins his race. But,
yeah. He's running against Ted Cruz,
yes, right? Yeah, running against Ted Cruz.
So and we already like him for that.
Yeah. Well, and he seems so, he reminds me of Barack Obama. He speaks very eloquently. He seems really compassionate, empathetic, and really fucking smart.
I kind of wanted to know how you personally felt about how disrespectful it is. Like you have the NFL players kneeling during the national anthems. I wanted to know if you found that disrespectful to our country, to our veterans, and anybody related to that. I find it incredibly frustrating that people seem to be okay with that. And
So this is a guy in the audience asking him this question. And then
dumb shit.
But yeah. And then Beto gives his answer, and he does it so diplomatically, but so beautifully. If I were the guy, like if I try to imagine that I was this guy asking this question, and I walked into this town hall and asked him, and his answer is just so fucking perfect that I don't know that I could have not completely agreed with him.
Just like to hear your input.
Thank you. Thanks for a great question. Again, on a really tough issue that if we don't talk about is not going to get better. And the question is, how do you feel about NFL players who take a knee during the national anthem? And is it disrespectful to this country, to the flag, to service members who are right there tonight, where it is tonight in Afghanistan, and those former service members, retirees, and veterans who are here with us today? Thank you each for your service. My short answer is no. I don't think it's disrespectful. Here's my longer answer, but I'm going to try to make sure that I get this right, because I think it's a really important question. And reasonable people can disagree on this issue. Let's begin there. And it makes them no less American to come down on a different conclusion on this issue, right?
Yeah, that's a perfectly valid point. It pisses me off when people are like, oh, it's un-American if you don't do it. No, actually, dissent is like the heart of being an American.
I was going to say, that's a valuable point in the context of any discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you no less an American. Like, you can disagree and you can be wrong, but it doesn't mean you're not an American or you're not a good
Unless the question is, do you think the Third Reich was correct?
True. That'd be bad.
I kind of agree with the Third Reich. What about you?
Or if you fly Confederate flags around or Nazi flags around, then you might not be very American.
But on this question in particular, something that is striking at the heart of what is going on in America and the inequality that we see around us all the time, that a lot of white people are just completely blind to because it's never happened to them. It's something that never crosses their mind because it doesn't affect them at all, really.
Feel as a young man does, you can feel as I do. You're every bit as American, all the same. But I'm reminded, somebody mentioned reading the Taylor Branch book. You did. Parting the Waters and the King Years. And when you read that book and find out what Dr. King and this nonviolent, peaceful movement to secure better, because they didn't get full, civil rights for their fellow Americans, the challenges that they faced, those who died in Philadelphia, Mississippi, for the crime of trying to be a man, trying to be a woman in this country, the young girls who died in the church bombing, those who were beaten within an inch of their life crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama with John Lewis, those who were punched in the face, spat upon, dragged out by their collar at the Woolworth lunch counter for sitting with white people at the same lunch counter in the same country where their fathers may have bled the same blood on the battlefields of Omaha Beach or Okinawa, or anywhere that anyone ever served this country. The freedoms that we have were purchased not just by those in uniform, and they definitely were, but also by those who took their lives into their hands riding those Greyhound buses, the Freedom Riders in the Deep South in the 1960s, who knew full well that they would be arrested, and they were serving time in the Mississippi State Penitentiary. Rosa Parks getting from the...
And I think that's a bit of our history that a lot of people who are younger just don't know about. That
I think they choose to leave it out of our education system for all the wrong reasons.
Along with almost everything else.
Yeah, for a host of reasons. But just the idea that as a black person, riding somewhere other than the back of the bus could have you arrested.
Yeah, sitting at the same lunch counter as a white.
Right. Yeah, using a water fountain that wasn't labeled nigger or Negro, that it was for whites only.
Right.
You could get arrested for using the wrong fucking water fountain.
Yeah.
In the Mississippi State Penitentiary, Rosa Parks getting from the back of the bus to the front of the bus, peaceful, nonviolent protests, including taking a knee at a football game to point out that black men, unarmed, black teenagers, unarmed, and black children, unarmed, are being killed at a frightening level right now, including by members of law enforcement, without accountability and without justice. And this problem, as grave as it is not going to fix itself. And they're frustrated, frankly, with people like me and those in positions of public trust and power who have been unable to resolve this or bring justice for what has been done and to stop it from continuing to happen in this country. And so nonviolently, peacefully, while the eyes of this country are watching these games, they take a knee to bring our attention and our focus to this problem to ensure that we fix it. That is why they are doing it, and I can think of nothing more American than to peacefully stand up or take a knee for your rights anytime, anywhere, any place. So thank you very much for asking the question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly right.
I just thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I became a Beto O'Rourke superfan instantly. That was just so fucking good. And since then, I've seen a few interviews with him, and he's an incredible guy.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he wins. I hope he wins and beats Ted Cruz's ass.
And runs for president someday.
And yeah, I can see him doing that. I think he'd make a fantastic president eventually.
Even if O'Rourke's, all the rest of his opinions are conservative, just that opinion he just shared alone makes him better than Cruz.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know what he could do to be much worse than Cruz.
Right.
I mean, Cruz is he's a bottom feeding troglodyte. He has like the most punchable face.
He does.
A troglodyte's better.
Yeah.
But it is also hard to kill.
A troglodyte?
Yeah.
Oh. I've never tried to kill one, so I wouldn't know.
Just like Cruz.
But the way that his chin just goes straight to his chest, like he's wearing a flesh turtleneck all the time.
Now, and the hook nose and
we don't need to go to someone's their appearance to make him seem like a bad person. He's a bad person, even if he is a little ugly.
Oh no, he's a bad person with a shitty appearance. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm just talking about how his face is punchable, and I hate looking at him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's an ugly blobfish of a person.
Hey gang, this is Jack Materko from For Infernal Use Only and the Naked Diner podcast, and you are listening to The Godless Revolution.
Libertas is also called the freedom goddess, Lady Freedom, the goddess of liberty. Do you know there's a statue in New York Harbor called the Statue of Liberty? You know where we got it from? French Freemasons. Listen, folks, that is an idol, a demonic idol, right there in the middle of New York Harbor. And people say, well, no, it's patriotic. What makes it patriotic? Why is it? It's a statue of a false goddess, Queen of Heaven. We don't get liberty from a false goddess, folks. We get our liberty from Jesus Christ, and that Statue of Liberty in no way glorifies Jesus Christ. There is no connection whatsoever. So I'm just telling you, we practice idolatry in America in ways that we don't even recognize.
Rejoining the Godless Revolution podcast now.
Well, we have some news.
What? We don't talk about news here.
It's better than olds. Didn't.
Wah, wah. The American Atheists has filed suit.
Yes.
Against whom, you may ask, or what, or why?
Yes.
Well,
it's
whom, what, where, why?
It's against Stanley Rapert.
All right. I hate that guy.
Stanley Rapert. Or Stanley Jason.
Once again.
Because
if you change a name.
J-Stan.
Change the bad one.
Other than him being a total douchebag, American Atheists, this comes to us from their website, says that they have filed a federal civil rights lawsuit today in the Eastern District of Arkansas against State Senator Stanley Jason Rapert for violating the First and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution and Arkansas state law. The complaint was filed on behalf of American Atheists members in Arkansas, including 4 individual plaintiffs who were unconstitutionally blocked from Rapert's official Facebook and Twitter accounts after they expressed viewpoints different than his on several issues.
Mm-hmm.
According to the complaint, Rapert also blocked the plaintiffs due to their atheism.
Mm.
The senator's first conduct constitutes viewpoint discrimination, which is prohibited under the First Amendment. Government officials cannot take hostile actions like limiting participation in public forums against someone simply because they have different beliefs, said Allison Gill, American Atheists legal and policy director. These forums include social media accounts used by public officials for general purposes.
I wonder if they've been waiting to do this, but they waited until after the Trump thing with that, because they said, hey, Donald, you can't block people on social media because that's considered a public forum, and you're a public official, and you're using that in a public context.
Yeah, there's a clear precedent for this now, for sure. The Supreme Court has been clear that social media platforms are perhaps the most powerful mechanisms for citizens to make their voices heard, Gill added. And now
because the officials don't listen to us.
And now multiple federal courts have ruled that blocking citizens from participating in this forum is an unconstitutional violation of their freedom of speech. Senator Rapert has a duty to represent all of his constituents, not just the ones who share his religious views, and on that duty he is failing miserably, said American Atheists President Nick Fish. Anyone capitalizing on their elected office to advance their particular religious viewpoint seriously misunderstands the foundation on which America was built. Arkansas attorney Matt Campbell, an expert on civil rights, criminal law, and the appellate process, is American Atheists' legal counsel in the lawsuit. According to Campbell, quote, Senator Rapert's own comments demonstrate that his actions were motivated by animus toward atheists and those who support the constitutional separation of religion and government, end quote. American Atheists seeks a court order permitting the plaintiffs to participate in these public forums, as well as nominal damages, punitive damages, and attorney's fees. Rapert's actions highlight the need for more atheists to speak out about their beliefs and challenge government officials who silence them in public forums. So American Atheists has launched Atheists Engage, a campaign to fight viewpoint discrimination in public forums. Atheists who have been blocked by public officials on social media can send reports to engage at atheists.org.
Engage.
And for more information, you can visit atheistsengage.org.
Yeah, this one should be cut and dry, clear, but it's not going to be in Arkansas.
Well, it's a federal. I think they said federal suit, right?
Federal?
Yeah, federal civil rights lawsuit. So,
well, it would still be in a local federal court.
Sure.
In their district, because I can't remember how many districts there are for federal court.
It's in the Eastern District of Arkansas.
Yeah.
But
yeah, part of the problem is just that judges now completely ignore law. They just rule however the fuck they want.
Yeah, I can remember when I was going through my divorce, I had started a blog.
Oh, blog.
A blog back. This was almost 20 years ago, somewhere. And then it was like 18 years ago.
Okay.
And I had a blog back when
blogs weren't a thing yet, really.
They were just kind of taking off, but I was blogging about my divorce, and I never named my ex-wife by name. I referred to her as
Bart, that evil witch,
as QOTH.
Okay.
And in court, the judge asked me what QOTH stood for, and I had to tell him in court that it was Queen of the Harpies. And so he told me that I had to take my blog down, that I couldn't have my blog. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sound right. And my attorney's just like, no, it's fine. Just don't argue with the judge in his courtroom. Like that's a separate issue that we can deal with later if you want, but just say, okay, that's fine. I'll do whatever.
That's when you go, Judge, do you even know how to internet?
Well, but do you know how to First Amendment, bro?
Yeah, that's a whole nother problem though, too, that you're not allowed to even address a judge.
Yeah.
That you don't have the right to even to say what you think about it. Not in his courtroom, goddammit.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in court a few different times. A couple times to fight tickets, and then for my divorce.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you are you feel really vulnerable and powerless because
you are.
You basically are.
Like, you're just having a bad day.
What the judge says in his courtroom is that becomes law. Like if he says it, then you have to do it. And if you don't, then he can hold you in contempt. He can put you in a fucking jail if you disagree with him or you start arguing with him.
I actually recently saw one where the judge, someone got out of the courtroom, not his courtroom, a different courtroom, went in the hallway, had an issue while she was in there and said something loud. And the judge in another courtroom heard it. And he comes out of his courtroom, runs down the hall, grabs her, pulls her into his courtroom, and puts her in jail for 10 days.
No way.
That judge got relieved from the bench.
I was going to say, you can't do that.
That's why the story was out there, because the judge got fucking fired for that.
Oh, good. They should be.
But it shows how much power they think they have. Someone in the hallway. They do have a lot of power, but someone in the hallway upset him while he was in his courtroom. So he went and grabbed that person, brought that person into his courtroom, and then sent him to jail for 10 days.
Yeah, that's a big bad no-no.
Because they had an outburst in the hallway. If someone has an outburst in the hallway, that should be like the bailiffs or whoever be like, hey, shh, can't be doing that around here. If you
I've had a really hard day listening to people's complaints, and now I can hear you in the hallway. I'm going to arrest you.
Pretty much. And it's not even an arrest. It's, hey, you're in jail for 10 days for contempt. Done.
No trial. No
trial. Like, this is your
nothing.
trial
Yeah,
right here now. This is
it.
your trial. I decided you're going to jail for 10 days. Done.
Wow.
Go.
Wow. I haven't heard anything about that. That's fucking nuts, man.
Yeah. He now he doesn't have a job.
Well, yeah. Well, and he shouldn't, because that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You have something for us, Matt?
I do.
Okay. What is it?
I think I'll do this one first.
Okay.
President Trump's administration this week began denying visas to the unmarried same-sex partners of foreign diplomats and employees of the UN.
Yeah.
Making marriage a requirement to be eligible for a visa.
Which is kind of fucked.
The policy was made effective Monday. It comes despite the fact that the majority of countries do not recognize same-sex marriage, and many same-sex couples face prosecution in their own countries. So it's an international outing campaign. That's nice.
Pretty much.
Real nice. The shift was detailed in a memo circulated at the UN headquarters in New York last month. It gives the same-sex partners of foreign diplomats and United Nations workers until the end of the year to get married or leave the country. This is no doubt coming from Mike Pence.
Oh, yeah, well,
or
somebody on the religious right, is somewhere in the cabinet. Yeah.
Foreign Policy magazine, which first reported the story, estimated there are at least 10 current UN employees who would need to get married to get their partners' visas renewed. It was not clear how many foreign diplomats and UN employees with pending U.S. posts will be affected by the policy change. About 12% of the 193 UN member states represented in New York allow same-sex marriage, according to Samantha Power, a former U.S. ambassador to the UN who served under Barack Obama. The Trump administration believes the new policy is more consistent with the 2015 Supreme Court ruling to legalize same-sex marriage. The heterosexual partners of foreign diplomats and United Nations employees are also not eligible for U.S. visas. But given the slant of this administration, this is simply going after them.
Well, and
it's not an attempt to let's try and make things fair and balanced here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not it. Mm-hmm. They want to go target them.
Well, and it sets things up so that if they don't get married, and later the Trump administration or a future Republican administration somehow manages to undo same-sex marriages, well, then that invalidates all of those. And now all of you filthy fucking gays who are part of the UN got to get the fuck out of our country.
Yeah, exactly. Critics of the move argue the new policy will create hardship for same-sex couples from countries that ban same-sex marriage or only offer civil unions.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who marry in the U.S. to secure their visa status, they could face criminal proceedings once they return to their home nations.
Yeah, that was the big thing. I can see it, but then that's where I can't see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would imagine that it hasn't been enforced against homosexual couples because the countries that they come from may not have same-sex marriage available to them, and or that they would be persecuted if they are homosexual.
In those countries, I think you should get a pass. But if the rule is that you have to be married in order to bring them here on a visa for straight people, and in that country, same-sex marriage is legal, I think that's right. Say, hey, well, they can't bring their girlfriend over. They have to be married. Marriage is legal in your country. If you two are dating or if you want to get married.
Well, and so it seems silly to me. Like, why do they have to be married in order for that to happen? Like, rather than, the better way to handle it, in my view, would be to say, okay, well, now you don't have to be married to get a visa. Like it's like a +1, right? Like if you're going to a party, you can bring a +1. If you're going to the UN, you can bring a +1 if you're part of the UN. So rather than saying that you all have to be married, now it's just, well, you can bring a +1 and it doesn't fucking matter if you're married or not.
Right.
Rather than saying, well, now everybody has to be married, including gay couples.
Yeah.
You know, even in countries where that may not even be a fucking possibility.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why I guess the only correct thing to do to make it equal for everybody is saying, do the +1, gay or straight.
Yeah.
You don't have to be married. You can bring your girlfriend or significant other, whether you're straight or gay, over here with you.
Yeah.
But is this, because those are UN assignments. That's like, I gotta be like a year or 2 years. I don't know how long those assignments are for.
Well, it's got to be depending on each country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Each country would have its own rules about who serves and for how long.
The reason why I was saying the one thing I can see is saying, well, if the rule for this country is, both marriages are legal.
Mm.
And the rule is if you're coming and bringing someone over here, that's not your children, not a relative, or basically saying you can only bring relatives. So if you're married, you're a relative.
Mm.
You can't bring.
Well, sure. It would make it more equal. But like I said, they don't have to work it that way. They could just say, well, now you don't have to be married. You can bring a +1. It doesn't matter.
That's what I was saying.
Because we don't want to out you and put your life in danger in a country where this may be an issue for you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It would be nice
exactly
if they
what
could.
the administration is trying to do.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. With those countries where it is an issue, give them the pass.
Well, but those laws can change. I mean, then that's just a whole bunch more shit to track. If you just say, okay, fine, to make this easy on everybody, you can bring a +1. There, boom, done. It doesn't matter if you're married or not.
Which is basically what the system was.
Yeah, and then we're not going to out you as being gay in a country where that could be a life-threatening situation for you.
Well, didn't it say it's always been the practice for straight couples to have to be married to bring their significant
that's
others?
still stupid.
That's what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think, which is a stupid thing anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
who fucking cares?
Yeah, like I said, why do you have to be married? What does a legal document saying that, oh yeah, well now if they part, they've got to share things or split things or whatever. Like if you're spending your life with somebody, if you've made them your partner in life, even if it's a transient thing, let's say you're in a relationship with them for 6 months or whatever, while you're perhaps courting and want to maybe one day eventually get married if you want. It seems just a lot more logical, simple, easy, and safe for those people in countries where this could be a life-threatening situation to just say, well, it doesn't matter if you're married or not. You can bring a +1.
Well, right. I mean, because it's the same. Well, it's a different situation, but saying it's kind of the same rules in the military.
Yeah.
You can't bring your girlfriend with you.
Yeah.
You can bring your wife with you, but you can't bring your girlfriend.
Well, yeah, but so
that's why a lot of people just get married to say, hey, well, now you can come with me.
Yeah. Well, but again, that to me seems fucking backward and stupid. Like, why is marriage so important?
Because they only pay for family members.
Yeah.
And if you're not a family member, you don't get to come.
Yeah. I think
that's just 1950s bullshit.
Yeah. I think the whole, not that I don't find value maybe in going through the legal process of getting married to somebody and doing the whole rigmarole thing and everything. But it's a very antiquated mindset to say that you can only be part of my family if I'm legally bound to you, right? Like,
well,
it seems very Victorian era nonsense. Like, why does that matter?
I don't know. I just think in certain situations they just, that's the way it works.
Well, I know that's the way. I know that's the way it does work, but it shouldn't have to work that way.
Well, in the military, I can see in the military, like, you don't want to be. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're sending you to Italy. Yeah, I can bring my girlfriend." Well, no, she can go there on her own dime and pay for her own visa.
We're right, but you just said that a lot of people will get married just so that they can take them. Like,
yeah, then they get divorced.
Yeah. So it's like, what the fuck is the whole point and purpose there? Like, it would just be a lot simpler for everybody if they said you can bring just a +1.
Yeah,
that's how it works now.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing that makes this clever is the fact that they already had that stupid law about heterosexual couples that have to be married. Mm-hmm. So now they can get away with saying, no, we're just trying to make it all uniform and the same. Yeah. When really we know, because of the way that this administration has behaved, that they're targeting LGBT people, but they're hiding it behind this faux equalizing bullshit, which I know they're going to use if anyone even questions that. But
yeah, well, and like I've known tons and tons of people who, there's so many different situations. So I've known a ton of people who have been together for years and years, decades, sometimes, where they've never legally gotten married, but I mean, they live life as a married couple. They act as if they're a married couple, and and the state laws vary depending on where you are. If there's a common law marriage statute or whatever the case is. And then there are other people, like if you're in a polyamorous relationship where you can even be married to somebody, but you go on dates with other people. You can even stay at other people's places for extended periods of time. It's like the whole idea of, a monogamous, legally bound, entrapment type marriage to you are my property now, just seems so antiquated and silly to me sometimes that I mean, I know a lot of people find value in a monogamous relationship that is legally bound through marriage, and that's fine. I get it. But it doesn't mean that the other options for a family or for those you consider to be your family and whom you love and spend time with is any less valid just because they haven't gone and signed a legal document. That just seems silly to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Okay. Maybe I'm arguing with a shadow man. I don't know. You got something else for us?
Sure. This one you should enjoy. It's a October themed kind of thing.
Oh, I like October. Fall is my favorite season, I'm sure.
I like it too.
Do we need it for this?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do we need it for this?
Oh, what a tangled web is being woven along the coast of a small town in Greece. And it's more than 1,000 feet long.
Oh, I've seen this. Holy fuck.
Reuters reports the giant spider webs recently started blanketing the shores of Idaliko in western Greece.
Nope.
It straight up looks like a kid went crazy with the Halloween spiderweb stuff.
I'm noping the fuck out. Not going to Greece or wherever the fuck this thing is.
Recently, the weather has been very hot and humid, which leads to more gnats and mosquitoes, which are the favorite food of these spiders.
Oh, they're so tasty.
Recently, the weather... Oh, I just said that. More yummy gnats mean more Tetranatha spiders, according to Maria Chatzaki.
They even have a
I'm
scary
hoping that's how it
name.
is.
Tetranatha?
Yep, they're pretty small. Little guys. It's as if the spiders are taking advantage of these conditions and are having a kind of party, she said. They mate, they reproduce, and provide a whole new generation. The result is that the local landscape, grass, trees, and street signs look as if it's covered with a whitish-gray net.
Yeah.
The spider population boom happens about every 3 to 5 years near Idaliko. Greek biologist Fotis Bergantis, president of the whatever place, Lagoon Park.
Sounded like a scientific name for something.
It did, huh? Told CNN that the webs will likely be there until temperatures start to drop and the gnat population dies out. When that happens, the spider population will decrease as well. Although neither the gnats nor the spiders are dangerous to humans, CNN predicts getting rid of the webs will require a lot of dusting.
Damn, I pulled up a picture of that. That's 1,000. Did you say 1,000 miles?
Feet.
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh, 1,000 miles.
I'm like, does Greece have 1,000 miles of coastline?
Oh, yeah.
Does it?
Oh, I bet they do.
Huh.
They have so many little nooks and...
yeah.
They got a lot of nooks and crannies. But yeah, I pulled up a picture of the webs here. It's amazing that
it's a literal blanket over all the vegetation on that coast.
Wow. I would nope. Like we would land, I'd want to go to the beach and I'd be like, nope, going home. Going home. Apparently there's way too many fucking spiders here.
I wouldn't even recognize it as a spider web at first. I would just be like, what is
all
something's
this shit?
washed up here. Yeah.
Like I've seen weird stuff wash up on salty oceans, but not that.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Megan Kennedy. I'm a speaker with the Satanic Temple. You can find me on Twitter at 6 Moments, and you're listening to The Godless Revolution.
All right, Brett boy, what are these?
They're books. Books that hold the Word of God.
And we know what Bibles are, Streza. It's my favorite work of fiction.
You and the Godless Revolution will be reassimilated in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, it's October.
Tis.
It's
October.
the pirate month, apparently.
Arr.
Arr, it's October, me mateys.
I meant to continue with the Irish accent. But I came in like a pirate.
Did you start an Irish accent?
No, it went straight pirate.
Wondering how you could continue an Irish accent you never started.
Well, I've been fucking it up the whole time we've been doing accents, so...
Yeah. Between segments, we've been fucking around, I don't know, talking nonsense in different accents, and apparently I slip in and out of Irish and Scottish.
It was pure Scottish.
Yeah. Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It wasn't even bad. It was good. It just wasn't Irish at all.
'Twas not at all Irish.
There you go. That's much less.
I've got to add a bit of a lilt.
You just got to think about your Lucky Charms.
We're being way too jovial for this next. Okay. This next little bit of scary bit.
'Tis October.
Yes.
Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas wouldn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. They communicated through microphones and would monitor the subjects through 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows in the chamber. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on, but no bedding, running water and toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was normal for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning on their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the dark chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 straight hours. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about his behavior is how the other captives reacted to it, or rather didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering into the microphones. The paranoia of the subjects had reached such high levels that they became afraid of each other, silently lurking in the dark chamber, eyes wide and darting, at times crouching in the corners and occasionally tracing their fingertips along the cold concrete block walls as they inched around the confines of the chamber. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced,
"We're opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom."
To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm, raspy voice.
"We no longer want to be freed."
Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately, voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging strenuously, as if pleading for the life of loved ones to turn the gas back on. The chamber was slowly opened, and tiny dust particles could be seen drifting through the rays of light streaming into the chamber, and soldiers carefully crept into the chamber to retrieve the test subjects. The soldiers and researchers jumped, startled by the break in silence when the subjects began to scream louder than ever. The soldiers regained composure and pressed on into the darkness to find 4 of the 5 subjects still alive. The food rations past day 5 had not been touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects' thighs and chest stuffed into the drain at the center of the chamber, blocking it and allowing 4 inches of water, blood, and urine to accumulate on the floor. All 4 surviving test subjects also had portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bones on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most of, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the rib cage of all 4 test subjects had been removed, while the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place. The skin and most of the chest muscles had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the rib cage. All of the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that had been ripped off and eaten over the course of days. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternately begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died after having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of a morphine derivative and still fought for a full 2 minutes after he had bled out to the point where there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the word "more" over and over, weaker and weaker until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility, the 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas. The most injured of the 3 was taken to the only surgical operating room at the facility. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative they'd given him to prepare him for the surgery. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy, the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had triple the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in his struggle not to be subdued. Most of them were from the force of his own muscles exerting on them. The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery. He only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested reluctantly they try surgery without anesthetic, and did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should be medically possible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she'd seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly. Attempting to talk while struggling, assuming this must be something of drastic importance. The surgeon had pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic. Although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation, the surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the patients could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they'd injured themselves, why they'd ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted to be given the gas again. Only one response was given.
I must remain awake.
All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed back into the chamber awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they put the gas back on. The researchers strongly objected but were overruled. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious that at this point all 3 were putting up a struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might, first left, then right, then left again, for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off the pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if he were repeating suffering brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut at the moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of deep sleep, then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed the same flat lines as the one who just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside as well as 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed, as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. "I won't be locked in here with those things, not with you," he screamed at the man strapped to the table. "What are you?" he demanded. "I must know." The subject smiled.
Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread.
The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out.
So nearly free.
Hi, everybody. This is Mikey Weinstein. I'm the founder and president of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, and you are listening to The Godless Revolution.
If you're going to be a serious grown-up person and appear to defend the Catholic Church in public in front of an educated and literate audience, you simply have to start by making a great number of heartfelt,
apologies, and requests for contrition and forgiveness.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrevolution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
That's not like a true story, right?
It's based on some true events of experimentation by Russians, but no. I mean, all that,
because you can't stay awake that long and not just die.
Well, and plus ripping themselves apart. That's all just nonsense they've added to an already bad story.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that sounded really... I know that I've read that story or heard it somewhere else before.
I think that's the first time I heard that one.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I know that I've at least read that somewhere before. Seems like it'd be like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe, that I read that.
Yeah, it's just one of those creepypastas that goes around,
Yeah.
Mostly made up stuff that's added onto some maybe true and horrifying prisoner of war situations.
True and nasty stuff.
Well, have you heard? I can't remember if it was Harvard or it's one of the Ivy League colleges that did that the penitentiary experiment.
I went to Yale.
It might have been Yale. That might have been why it was fucked up. It was it was.
I worked my butt off. I went to Yale. Sorry.
No, but it was the one that was it was done in the 70s, and it was what made them basically go, "Hey, you guys can't do this shit no more."
Yeah.
Or they had
were they doing hazing shit?
Well, that's what it turned into. But it was an experiment where people came in and nobody knew what they were going to do. But they were like, "Okay, this half is inmates. This half is that's
the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah, dude. Well, there's a documentary on it. Then I watched the actual there's a movie on it. And
did you watch the movie?
I watched the movie. The movie was pretty good.
Yeah, it was interesting.
But then I watched the actual documentary, and I'm like, it's just as fucked up as the movie kind of made it seem like they were.
Yeah, they did some unethical things during that study.
Doing some horrible shit, and they let them do it.
Yeah.
Just to see how far a person would go to just turn.
Sociology experiment gone awry.
Gone way fucked up. Now, in the movie, they keep locking the guy in that one, boiler tube that wasn't working.
A boiler tube?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was like a metal tube that they had kept locked because it's done in the basement of the college.
I don't remember that part.
But in real life, that didn't happen. I think there might be two movies because the one I'm thinking of has the guy, the pianist. What's his name? The guy from that movie where he played.
I don't know if I've seen your pianist.
Oh, you have. Adrian.
No, you haven't had Ambien at my house.
No. It's Adrian Brody.
Oh, the big-nosed pianist.
Yeah,
yes. The version I saw the movie with him in it about that. 'Cause I've seen two different movies about that experiment. One with Adrian Brody, and the one that he's in, he's like the inmate that they keep hazing the whole time, and they would lock into a little boiler thing. But in the documentary, it was a closet that they locked him into for a day at a time, and wouldn't give him shit. But they're fucking with him bad.
Yeah,
and.
Yeah. Well, humans turn into shitty fucking people, man. If you give them a little bit of authority and autonomy to exercise that authority over people who are powerless to stop them from asserting that authority, and they'll do some pretty fucking horrific things.
I for some reason, Chaps comes to mind.
Two?
I'm skeptical about that.
The wrong way to spell
it. You got something else for us?
Sure. Do you want to do accents?
Okay.
I can't do it. St. Mary's Cathedral in Australia is taking heat for implementing a tap-and-go collection plate.
Crikey!
Tap and go?
Similar
tap your credit card?
Oh, yeah.
Similar to what
phone or whatever.
You would see at McDonald's, by the way, Spike. Dan was actually saying it correctly. It is McDonald's, not McDonald's.
If it were Mac, it would be MAC. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not just MC.
Yep. McDonald's, these devices allow patrons, or in this case, parishioners, to tap their chip-enabled credit cards and pay a certain amount. The Roman Catholic Cathedral in Sydney announced the move on its Facebook page, but the outcry was so swift that the post was deleted soon after.
Now, you're reading the rest of this story, and now I'm thinking about it more in my head, and I'm like, Dan's just going to say, well, what about the Big Mac? It's called the Big Mac, not the Big Mick.
Dan was saying it right.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, a Big Mac is spelled M-A-C.
Right.
Yeah, right. Where do they get the Big Mac? What's the Mac?
It's the Mac Daddy of burgers.
Sure. Sorry, I just knew that if I didn't say something, it was going to keep playing over and over in my head, and I wouldn't actually be listening to you. And for that, I apologize. Sometimes I have these little bouts of shit just going on in my head that I'm like, wait, I can't. I just have to stop. But I have to get it out, or it will manifest itself in an ugly way later.
I think you mean Mick manifest. The Catholic Church is at the leading edge of gathering up every last penny for doing nothing, and they can't seem to decide whether or not fucking kids is okay.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to give it a hard pass and a definitely wrong.
But they're still working on that.
Yeah.
Multiple payments of $10 can be made by tapping your card once with several seconds in between each transaction, St. Mary's said in the post.
What if you want to do less than $10?
Multiple payments. The response was certainly not all negative and seemed more focused on the minimum donation being set at $10.
Yeah.
One Facebook user said, quote, if you had made it a $2 minimum, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Another one said, I hate it when I turn up to mass and realize I don't have any cash. I would love this option at my parish. St. Mary's followed up on that outcry by thanking those who made, quote, rational and coherent comments about the new collection plates.
Who are these people who are just clamoring for a different way to give money to a pedophile organization?
Right. And the fucking balls of the people in the church, too, demanding that poor people pay their way into heaven with all the priest shenanigans going on. And then pouting when being called out for the shameless begging, like they're doing here, you know?
Yeah.
St. Mary's did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
Shocked I am. Shocked and amazed.
Because they don't have to be accountable for anything ever.
That seems so out of character for the Catholic Church to...
Whatever happened to that Australian priest that Tim Minchin made that song about? I know he went back to
Cardinal
Australia.
Pell?
Yeah, I know he went back
Bell.
to Australia, but that was the last I heard about him.
His health was really bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't really followed that story very much.
Yeah, because last I heard was Cardinal Pell was finally going back to Australia to face
the music, as it were.
Yeah. But I can't remember. I don't remember hearing anything after that. I don't know if the fucker died.
I don't know. I wouldn't mourn the loss of him.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. I haven't followed the story. So that's a good question. I just don't know.
I really did like that. That was a good song that he did though for that one.
Oh yeah. Well, Tim Minchin's just great.
Yeah.
He's funny and intelligent. And,
I want to meet him.
Yeah. Yes, I would very much like to meet him as well. Meet him as well. Oh, I'm silly. I'm silly with the puns and the junks and stuff. We have another story about Turkish atheism. Did you know turkeys can be atheism? Oh, wait. Turkeys can be atheism, bro?
Did you know turkeys can be atheism?
Did you know turkeys can be atheism,
It's
bro?
not November yet.
Fuck. This comes to us from Ahval. Ahval News.
Oh yeah,
that's the name of it. AHVAL.
Try to read it in Turkish or Arabic.
Ooh, when I went golfing, so the Saturday before I shaved my beard off and I went golfing at Wasatch, it was cool. Like
you saw
at Valley View, I see a lot of deer. There's deer. Like it's just filthy and lousy with deer at Valley View. Right? They're all over the fucking place. They're like nuisance pests. Like get the fuck off the green. You're leaving big fucking dents in the green when you walk across there. You stupid animal. But at Wasatch,
no pooping in the fairway.
At Wasatch, they had a bunch of deer. They also have a shit ton of squirrels and stuff. A few years ago, we were golfing there, and one of the squirrels climbed into our cart and stole James, my golfing buddy, they climbed into the cart and stole James's candy bar and ran off with it. He's like, "Give me back my Snickers, you stupid squirrel!" But no, they have wild turkeys out there.
Okay,
like a whole bunch of them, and they make a lot of fucking noise.
Oh yeah,
like what Matt was doing, but like 15 of them in a gang of fucking stupid birds roaming around the golf course.
I used to go turkey hunting.
But this is the country of Turkey we're talking about.
It is. It is.
Turkish Atheism Association is to shut down due to pressure. And I don't think that's pressure from outside forces. I imagine that that's all from inside Turkey.
Yeah.
Story says that Turkey's first atheist non-governmental organization is preparing to dissolve itself after being targeted by pro-government media and due to pressure on its members. Voice of America Turkish reported. That's Voice of America Turkish.
Yeah, you said that already.
The VAT. The VAT reported this.
I like that.
The Atheism Association was founded in 2014 and has 170 members. There are dozens of them. Dozens!
Yeah, because only 12 of them attend.
Only 12 of them attended the association's general board meeting on Sunday, after the Islamist newspaper Yeni Akit gave details of the meeting beforehand and called Barbaros Sansal, Turkish fashion designer and one of the members of the organization, an enemy of Turkey and a person who insults Islam. How dare they?
Yeah. Yeah, we do insult Islam.
Sansal was expelled from Cyprus in 2016 and attacked by a mob on the steps of a passenger plane as he arrived at Istanbul airport. I hear that used to be Constantinople.
I heard that once too.
That's nobody's business but the Turks.
After he posted a video on New Year's Eve complaining about the government's crackdown on journalists, sexual harassment against children, corruption, and rising extremism. Quote, "Drown in your shit, Turkey," Sansal said in the video.
Drown in your shit, Turkey.
Sansal was later arrested and imprisoned for 2 months.
Jesus.
Zeynep Ayça? Sounds about right.
Don't ask me to pronounce anything.
And it's got weird characters over some of the letters and under some of the letters.
Yeah.
That's a new one. The president of the Atheism Association said their members had stopped sending their membership fees and the financial burden of the organization had to be shouldered by a few people. Sanar Atik, one of the board members of the association, said
he lives upstairs, right?
I think so. Had been prosecuted for insulting religious values and sentenced to 6 months in prison, which was later turned into a fine. Atik was also prosecuted for insulting the Turkish president Recep Tayyip Erdogan and sentenced to 14 months in prison.
Yeah.
Which is why the First Amendment is pretty fucking important here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly why they're getting rid of it.
I quote, "I cannot work in the public sector anymore. I don't have a job. Under these circumstances, people inevitably do not want to be seen related to our association," Atik said. The senior members of the organization also said that, though the number of atheists in Turkey was on the rise due to religious pressure and the failure of the rule of law in the country, there were not enough courageous atheists who could take the risk of working for the organization. Like here in America, we're pretty fucking privileged that I can say, fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Fuck religion.
For now.
Yeah, for now, sure. But we have that privilege, and it's a right guaranteed to us by our Constitution. A lot of other countries don't have those very simple rights, like the right of free speech.
Yeah, and a big problem is that people in our country don't recognize that as a right, and they want to strip that away because they want to punish people.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are lucky still at this point.
Yeah, very fortunate to have those rights. And so when people don't exercise those rights, right, like, I understand that some people don't want to be contentious. They don't want to get in arguments with different people. They don't like confrontation. They want everybody to just be hippy dippy happy, joyous celebrants in the grand thing that we call life. But if you don't exercise the rights that you have afforded to you here in this country where you do have those specific rights, what is the purpose of having them in the first place? If you don't exercise them, then you don't need them. You shouldn't have them. You're not taking advantage of the rights afforded to you in America. And I don't understand why. If you don't speak out, if you don't make your voice heard, then how are you going to affect change in anything with which you disagree?
Because what if someone tells me no?
What if somebody gets really angry with me and just doesn't want to be my friend anymore?
And they block you on social media.
Hi, this is Regina Tippett. I'm a licensed professional counselor. You can find me at Secular Therapy Project or rctcounseling.com. And you're listening to The Godless Revolution.
Please stand by. The Godless Revolution will continue in a moment.
We have a man who has become a friend of mine. It's shocking, isn't it? He's a good man. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey.
My party is going bat crazy. And I don't think he has the temperament or judgment to be commander-in-chief. You know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell. Donald Trump is the most unelectable Republican I've seen in my lifetime. He's not fit to be president of the United States. The Republican Party has been kind here, bringing out the worst in us. Disparaged women, opportunistic religious bigotry, race baiting, xenophobia. He's a jackass. No, I don't think he's a xenophobic, race baiting, religious bigot as president. You don't have to run for president and be the world's biggest jackass. I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. You know what concerns me about the American press is this endless attempt to label the guy as some kind of kook, not fit to be president. I don't believe he's a Republican. His policies are really bad for the country. I'm going to try to help our president, Donald Trump, be as successful as possible. Because, number one, I agree with him mostly. I like the president. I want to help him. I hope he's successful. Trump's foreign policy is a complete disaster. I think this strike was a game changer. There's a new sheriff in town. What President Trump has done is historic, deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, and then some. If Jeff Sessions is fired, there will be holy hell to pay. The president's entitled to attorney general he has faith in. I trust Deputy Attorney General Rothenstein. Here's what I say to Mr. Rosenstein. If you don't believe that the Department of Justice was off the rails, you're clearly not looking at the same Department of Justice I'm looking at. I've just about had it with the Rosenstein approach here.
Can you tell me what happened in that meeting? In your own words.
No, I want to make sure that I can keep talking to the president. And somebody's got to explain this to Trump, so I guess that'll be my job. If you don't like me working with President Trump to make the world a better place, I don't give a
Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
That's kind of funny. So I didn't bring it up in the week in review thing that we do at the front of the show. But there's somebody that I have been friends with in real life and on Facebook for like 10 years now. Well, more like 7 or 8 years, probably. Somebody that I've helped a number of different ways, help them move, volunteered manual labor from me, the fat, lazy guy who doesn't like to do a lot of manual labor.
Wiped their ass once.
Used my vehicles to transport their shit in an emergency when they had to move out of a place into another place. Been supportive of their kung fu things they've got going on and a lot of the other things that they were doing and participating in their life. And I've made reference to this person, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years ago. It was early when we were doing the show, and it was around voting season. Of course, I've voted basically since I was able to vote. Yeah. Since I was 18. I've always been involved in politics. It's always been a fascination and interest of mine to be involved in politics, to have my voice heard, to vote whenever I possibly can for the things that I support. And this person I made reference to in at least one previous show when I said, if you're going to listen to comedians as your voice of reason,
I remember that.
For whether you should vote or not, then you're probably not really fucking paying attention to what the fuck is going on. And this was because this person and I had arguments before about, whether you should vote or not and whether it's effective and why you should vote and blah, blah, blah. And this person kept throwing out George Carlin's little stand-up bit about voting and it being a waste of time and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if Carlin actually held those beliefs or if they were just part of his shtick as part of his comedy routine.
I love George Carlin.
I do too. I think
I still love his
brilliant.
comedy.
Yeah, I think I really, really appreciated a lot of the things that he did. But that particular bit when he went on and on about voting being stupid and the wealthy and rich will always be in power and the vote is useless and you're completely powerless and it's completely pointless to vote in the first place and everything. It's like, my response to that is, if your vote was pointless, then politicians wouldn't spend billions of dollars per year trying to get you to vote one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
If your vote didn't matter, there would be no money spent on it.
And spent over 500 days campaigning in the last election.
Right.
And guess what else? What George Carlin and other comedians are doing on stage is an act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They may really feel like that. They may not. You don't know. It's just what they think is funny. But that's not a good source of life guidance.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You should not be using a comedian as a guru to run your life.
Yeah. Most comedians have a persona on stage.
Right. And so, like I said, we would have these back and forths over these issues throughout the years, right? And this is actually a person who I saw at a party stand up to somebody who made an off-color comment about trans people. And it was one of those situations where you're in a party with people you don't really know all that well, and something gets said and you just, typically if you're like most people, like even I did at the time, you just kind of laugh it off and you're like, you do the little uncomfortable giggle, right? And think in the back of your mind, well, this person's
a piece of shit.
Well, maybe not even a piece of shit, but somebody who probably needs to be educated on these things, but right now may not be the appropriate time.
Yeah.
But at that party, I saw the person that I'm talking about now actually stop and say, well, that was a really shitty thing to say. And you could almost hear the record, the needle scratch across the record, right? Like, and there was this little bit of dead silence. And then the person was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
And the person that I'm talking about just said, it's not even worth my fucking time. Never mind. And they just walked away. And I thought, that was pretty awesome. Like, you're in a setting where you don't really know anybody and you're still, rather than just doing the yes-anding and nodding and agreeing and laughing uncomfortably, whatever, you stood up and you said, hey, no, that was fucking wrong what you just said. That was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there wasn't a whole lot of follow-up on it, but
at least they
voiced that initially, right? And I thought that was fucking awesome. And that's something that I've carried forward with me in my mind as I interact with different people in different situations to this day, right? And this is something that happened years ago with this person. And I noticed on Facebook earlier this week that the person in question had posted something about, you need to get out and vote and you need to do this and that. And I was like, wow,
awesome.
Well, that's a twist. That's a change in things that I wasn't previously aware of. And the person in question also, he and I had gotten in had various disagreements throughout the years. And there were a couple of them that, we had a minor disagreement and he would blow up and get all aggro about it and really like say some really hurtful, awful things. And I'm just
just go right to
fuck you, you stupid motherfuckers. Typical kind of bullshit that I would expect from somebody as stupid as you are. And, and I'm just like, exactly. Whatever, and I just would kind of ignore it and whatever. And then they'd send an apology the next day or later that day or whatever. And I was just like, I understand you get heated, whatever. That's kind of your personality. I've got a pretty thick skin. It doesn't really bother me a whole lot. I figured we'd iron things out because we're friends. You understand that we can have disagreements about different things and we can even argue vociferously and passionately about different things. But, personal insults should be set aside. That's not an effective way to argue with somebody.
Yeah.
And so that had gone on. And that happened like 2 or 3 different times. And finally I was just like, okay, well, we're not going to be close friends anymore or well, we weren't really close friends to begin with, but we were close-ish. And so finally I just decided, okay, well, I have other people who I really like to spend time with, and I, may argue with them about different things, but we can have an amicable disagreement about things. They don't resort to personal insults to try to get their point across or whatever, or make a point or win the argument.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the guy who repeatedly, whenever they would get in an argument with somebody and that person would block them or unfriend them or whatever, they'd say, well, they blocked me and unfriended me. I guess that means I fucking win because they couldn't fucking handle talking to me about stuff and just debating like a rational person. That means I fucking win. And I would think, well, maybe they just got tired of dealing with an asshole who's not really going to listen to them.
Right. Who clearly doesn't understand fallacies.
Right. So, he posted this thing about you should get out and vote and do this and that. And honestly, I was happy and surprised and shocked that, wow, he's come around on these things, and now he's not only apparently voting himself, but encouraging others to do so as well, when previously he had said that was a terrible thing to do and a waste of your time and whatever. And so I just said, oh, this is awesome. I'm glad you're getting involved in politics. When did you start voting? And instantly, like, his first response was,
you got a little dick.
Fuck you. Yeah. Apparently you haven't been paying attention to shit that's gone on lately and things that I've been posting for a couple years now. And, and just went on this little diatribe, like throwing out personal insults and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, whoa. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, I was trying to be supportive and interested and hey, when did your views and opinions on this change? And, he came back like really angry, like, oh God, now everybody's going to fucking know that I haven't always voted and that I didn't have this opinion forever. And fuck you for calling me out. And it was just like, no, I'm excited that you're doing it. And they took it completely the wrong way, right? Like,
how old is this person? I mean,
younger than he's
okay,
mid to late 30s, I think.
Oh, never mind. Way too old to be acting
not like a young person, but
because the amount of self-centeredness that's going into all of this stuff that he's talking about, that you should be paying attention to every moment of his life.
Yeah.
And how dare you call out an inconsistency in public, that would show that he was maybe wrong or changed his mind or anything. Like, just this whole thing, everything is revolving around him.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I was excited that his mind had been changed, and I wanted to know, well, when did this grand revelation happen? And I wanted to know how he came to that, so that maybe in the future we can use this information to get other people who think that voting is a waste of time to see, no, it's not. What was it that changed your mind that I can tell other people, look, this person used to say that same thing, and now they've changed, and here's why.
And it's a perfectly normal, organic thing to come up because it's a conversation you had already had.
Right. And so apparently, and here's the other thing, too, I want to stress is that when you read a comment from somebody that can be taken one of two ways, please, in the name of whatever you, not even hold holy, but whatever you fucking like, if you want to try to maintain relationships with people, if that's at all a concern of yours, try to view their comments in the most charitable light possible, right? And then if you have a question, if you think they were being shitty, fucking ask them. Like you can just even respond back and say, there are a couple different ways or a few different ways that I could take this comment. How exactly did you mean this? Because, the state that I'm in right now, my current frame of mind is that I think maybe you meant this. You meant it to be a shitty comment. Like, oh, you've always been a fucking dumbass before and now you're voting. Why the fuck you changed your mind?
He could have said, is that a negative comment or a positive comment?
He's expecting you to behave like he does.
Some projection.
Yeah. And come at him like, I guess I win now because you changed your mind. You're doing what I said you should be doing all along.
So that bothers me so fucking much that people, rather than trying to communicate with each other and make sure that their points are clear and that they understand what the other person is saying and why, they'll instantly jump to the least charitable conclusion they possibly can, right? Like, oh, you're just saying this to be a fucking dick, and so I'm going to try to tear you to pieces. And it's like, dude, that's not at all what I was doing. Like, I'm excited that you're doing this now. What has changed your mind on this and why? How can we use this information to help other people in the future to get them out to vote. And instead it was just, oh, you're a fucking asshole and blah, blah. Still never answered my question. Like, I still have no fucking idea when he decided to start voting, but just posted all these really terrible things and so I just responded and I'm like, dude, you know, I'm interested in what's going on here and I'm interested in the truth, you know, why are you not? And you know, are you interested in a dialogue here or are you just looking to score points and be a fucking prick? And then it was, oh, fuck you. And then it was just, you know, like 3 comments in a row. Like that really got under, you know, like boom, 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 3 comments. And they were just like so terrible and awful. Just every insult, every fallacy, every ad hominem attack that you could possibly think of. And so I just reacted to them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even worth my time to respond. I'm just going to like, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm going to laugh at you because you're being a dummy.
Make him more angry.
Yeah, probably. Well, I'm sure it did because then the next thing I know, I was blocked. So this person that I've been, you know, fairly close with in the past and have drifted apart because of life circumstances, whenever we don't really hang out anymore. But then I see, great. This is, you know, you're involved in this now and I'm excited. And what, you know, how did you change your mind? When did this happen? And then just personal attacks. And then for the person who always would sit, you know, one of the lines in one of his last comments was like, why don't you just fuck off and get the fuck out of here or whatever? And I just reacted to that. And I'm sure that he wanted me to unfriend him or block him. And I knew that.
Right. Yeah.
And so I didn't. And then like the next day, I got a notification on Facebook that, you know, so-and-so has commented or replied to your comment on their post.
But you can't see
So I go to look at it and it's content unavailable. And I'm like, oh, maybe they removed the comments or maybe Facebook is acting all fucky. So I go to look at his profile on my computer and that person, as far as Facebook and I are concerned, no longer exists. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly they blocked me.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking this from the person who, as a mantra for years is, oh, well, they unfriended me or they blocked me. I guess that means I fucking win. Well, I guess I win because you're a fucking asshole.
Sounds like this guy's a little unstable anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. He's had some issues and some problems and I've tried to be supportive and whatever. And it's just like, at some point it's like, dude, like I can only go with you so far. Like I've tried helping you. I've done what I can, but I'm not just going to be your fucking punching bag. So ultimately it was a good thing that he did it because he's kind of a dick, but it seemed surprising but totally hypocritical and I don't know. It was just weird. People are fucking weird.
Yeah. And a lot kind of, while I'm thinking about it, you know, I mean, people who are listening to this probably know that the way we started the show was I said to somebody at an event that I wanted to start a podcast. They told me that Ryan was interested, gave me his number or whatever. We got in contact, did our first episode at Dan's house because he was the president of the atheist group here. And then he just joined and we're like, yeah, all 3 of us should just do it. And that's how we met. We didn't we met each other for the first time at that first show.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have been luckier to have ended up with these 2 guys, to be honest. I mean, but there's so many crazy guys out there, so much weird, crazy, stupid people out there. And just to have the chemistry that we have and the way, you know, the friendship that we've built and to be as stable as you guys are and stuff. I mean, it's just the luck is crazy. I mean, I'm not usually optimistic, but in this case, it worked out really amazingly well.
Yeah. I've never been called stable before.
Well, I mean, you water off a duck's back.
What about sturdy? Like, you know. Have you been called sturdy before?
Only went on all 4s.
This is a sturdy platform. Yeah. This will work fine.
And I wasn't around for the Ambien night, so maybe that would change it. But
no, yeah.
Anyway, I just really appreciate you guys, and I really lucked out.
Well, thank you. I feel the same way. But it just, I don't know, like I said, if you take nothing else from this story, if you take nothing else away from this story, I hope that you take away the fact that please try to be decent to other people. You know, if somebody makes a comment, and I understand people have a bad day, and I thought, well, clearly, you know, this person may just be having a rough day. Maybe they had a bad day at work, bad traffic, whatever the fuck. Like, it's not worth my time getting into a big argument with them. I'm just going to react at their comment because it's ridiculous, right? But like I said, if somebody makes a comment and it can be taken any number of ways, whether it's on social media or in real life. Rather than acting like a dick and reacting out of anger, stop and think, well, this can be taken multiple different ways. I should ask them what their intent was. Like, did you mean to piss me off? Are you trying to call me out? Are you trying to be a dick? Are you trying to get a rise out of me? Or are you generally and genuinely curious about what's going on?
Yeah, don't assume that you know what people mean.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, why would you automatically assume the worst of somebody, especially somebody that you've known for years?
Well, I could understand.
Well, I mean, unless you already know or have it in your mind that person is just a giant fucking asshole who you don't really care about anyway. Like, why would you, like, if Donald Trump tweets something, like, I assume automatically that it's going to be a shit show, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
but that's a warranted thing.
Yes, exactly.
It's proven to be a shit show.
Yeah, there's a
times.
proven track history of that being a total fucking shit show.
Yeah, that's not like paranoia. That's just.
Yeah, but if somebody that you are, amicably connected with online and in real life says something that you can take multiple ways, stop and ask them, well, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. Right.
And that's all you have to say is, well, what exactly do you mean?
And is English your first language?
Yeah, I always love it when you say that.
But yeah, just try to be nicer to people, for Christ's sake. Jesus Christ. Like, well, and then it's like, so Tracy is still friends with this person. I don't know if she is anymore.
Would me or Matt possibly be friends with this person on Facebook? Or
I don't think so.
Okay.
They're kind of a curmudgeon.
Oh, okay.
They don't make friends easily. But so I told her the story and she's like, well, that's kind of fucked up. So she went out and looked at this person's timeline and read some of the comments after they blocked me, and she's like, oh man, they're just a fucking coward. Like, some of the things, like, you asked this question and then their response to it was this, and then they blocked you, and then they went on this tirade while you weren't there to defend yourself. She's like, they're just a fucking coward. What a shitty human being. What a terrible fucking thing to do.
Hi, this is Thomas Westbrook, and I have a YouTube channel called Holy Kool-Aid where I take topics and I break them down in 5 or 10 minute videos, trying to give a laser-focused perspective on religion, philosophy, and science. And you are listening to the Godless Revolution podcast.
Mickey, I need help.
All right, well, you do what every normal person does and you go to church.
Since when are you so religious?
Not religious at all, but I like church. Free donuts, coffee, a little wine to take the edge off. Then you confess all the bad stuff you did and go home guilt-free, ready to do it all over again.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
All right, so I think the last story we're going to cover for the regular portion of the show this evening is a local story here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And it's something that I saw the headline for, and I was like, well, that's interesting. And that's kind of hypocritical, and I can understand why it's being reported. But then I thought, well, why is this guy getting arrested, but other people who do the same thing or have the same profession don't get arrested for doing what, in my view, is way, 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 way worse?
Yeah.
Like, why is that a thing? This comes to us from Fox 13 News here in Salt Lake City. It says, the headline is Catholic priest charged with patronizing a prostitute. Story reads and says, a Catholic priest has been charged with patronizing a prostitute. Father
He should be given a goddamn gold medal for not fucking kids.
Right, exactly. That was my thought. That was my thought after reading the headline and thinking about it for a second.
Yeah.
But the story says the Father Andres Paulo Skrupik. I don't do the way too many consonants and
Skrupik?
Yeah, he's like, I think that's Polish, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that would be my guess. But it says the father was arrested August 24th near 200 North, 900 West in Salt Lake City during an undercover prostitution sting where police were targeting Johns.
Mm-hmm.
According to a probable cause. My name's not John. I should go scot-free.
They caught the wrong guy. You're only going after Johns.
He's going free. Father initially accused the undercover officer as being a cop, but eventually agreed to pay $30 for a sex act.
Oh, shit.
The affidavit claimed $30. A $30 sex act, and this guy is in jail now.
What does that get you?
I have no idea. I have no idea how that even works. Like, how do you approach a prostitute, Ryan?
Good question. I mean, you probably just look for the one that's hankering for a drug.
Well, there have been a couple times that I know that I must have been speaking with a prostitute and had absolutely no fucking idea what was really going on.
Did she come up to you and go, "Hey, honey, you want to go back to my room for a party?" You're like, "No, I just got from a party."
Well, so Atheists of Utah is working with the Utah Department of Transportation. We've adopted, or Atheists of Utah has. I filled out all the paperwork to get the program started when I was president for Atheists of Utah to adopt a section of highway here for the Adopt a Highway Cleanup Program, whatever, so we could have signs that say this section of the road cleaned by Atheists of Utah.
Yeah. What age is it? Have you found that it's appropriate to tell the highway it's adopted?
I think immediately, just like get it out of the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You don't want it to be a surprise later. Like, have them think you've been lying to them.
Yeah, that's
entire
smart.
life.
That's smart.
But so the Atheists of Utah has a section of State Street that they've adopted to clean, right? And there's toward the north end of the cleanup area, there's a little motel.
Okay.
And it's like, you know that if you take the northern section of the northwest section of the cleaning section,
there's needles.
You're going to find needles, condoms, discarded clothing. Like it's, there's prostitution happening in the
because when a John's got to run, he don't bring his clothes.
Right. But also, semi-adjacent to that is a pawn shop, and then just a little bit down from that is Piper Down, one of my favorite bars. I fucking love Piper Down. Yeah. It's a great place. And so there have been a couple instances where I was either doing a cleanup with Atheists of Utah or had pulled into the parking lot of the pawn shop to go to Piper Down, where women have approached my car very shakily, shakily and shabbily, and, motioned for me to roll the window down, and I roll the window down.
Were you on Parkinson's Lane?
Did you roll the window and she go, "You want your dick sucked?"
They're just tweaking, right?
Yeah.
So, I roll the window down, and when I roll the window down and then they see Tracy sitting in the car, there's kind of a double take and then okay, right. maybe this will still work. Like, what can I do for you? And I'm like,
nothing.
What are you talking about? Like, you came over to my car. What do you want? And they're like, oh, well, never mind. Have a good day. And I'm just like, what the fuck was that? And Tracy's like, I think that was a prostitute. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense now. I get that. Okay. Like, I'm really fucking naive about that kind of shit. Like, I don't have any situational awareness of like, oh, right, we're near the Hooker Hotel.
Yeah.
Or Hooker Motel.
Hotels are for escorts.
Right. And, I just think, oh, maybe this person needs help. I should roll down my window and see what they want. And so they're just like, no, okay, never mind. So I don't know how that all works out. But yeah, so I have no idea what $30 gets you from.
I just imagine that the price for a hooker is all dependent on the local price of drugs.
Probably.
Whatever they need to get their next score, that's probably what they're charging.
Yeah. After making the agreement, Father Skrzypiec was arrested and charged with one count of patronizing a prostitute, a Class A misdemeanor. The Catholic Diocese of Salt Lake City told Fox 13 that Father Skrzypiec is currently on administrative leave pending the outcome of the charges.
Well, it seems like they're gonna stick. It was a cop he talked to.
No, wait a second.
Undercover.
So they're gonna put him on leave for this, yet.
Right. Well, because they can't move him.
Well, over the weekend, a statement was read from the pulpit at St. Ambrose Church in Salt Lake City.
I can't believe this, though.
And at J.E. Cosgriff Memorial School, where Skrzypiec worked. Regarding Father Andres Skrzypiec, On Tuesday of this past week, September 24th, 2018, the District Attorney's Office for the Salt Lake County filed a single charge of solicitation of an adult female against Father Andrew. Oh, that's much easier. Why don't they just fucking call him out all the time? This charge is a Class A misdemeanor. Father Andrew, from the beginning, has denied the allegations. Father Andrew was placed on leave from his ministerial duties when this incident was reported to the diocese. Now the charges have been formally filed. Bishop Oscar A. Solis has put Father Andrew under administrative leave for 3 months until this matter is resolved. We ask that you keep Father Andrew in your prayers. During his absence, Father Joshua Santos has been assigned temporary administrator of St. Ambrose Parish and chaplain of J.E. Cosgriff Memorial Catholic School.
P.S. Thank God Sergeant Andrews only likes, or Pastor Andrews, or what?
Father Andrews.
No, what was the replacement guy? What's his name? I fucked this whole thing up.
Solis?
Oh, Joshua.
Santos.
Yeah, thank God Father Santos only likes little boys.
Right. Well, yeah, but that's just it, is that, okay, this guy solicited a prostitute, somebody who's willing to do what he wants.
And able to consent.
And able to consent, most likely, I would imagine, for $30, and he's arrested and loses his job, while the Catholic Church, meanwhile, finds out the priests are diddling kiddies, and they just transfer them to different parishes or dioceses where there's a brand new pool of victims for them to select. And they face no consequences. They're not arrested. They don't spend any time in jail.
They're not on admin leave either.
Yeah, so apparently...
the church doesn't care.
Not only the Catholic Church, but law enforcement officials think that consensual paid sex between two adults is much more egregious than fucking children.
Yeah.
That's so fucking sick and wrong.
Because he got caught by law enforcement.
Ah, is that the key?
That is the key. Because if the church finds out, they don't have to report it to the law enforcement.
I see.
But this does remind me of the one that we talked about a few months ago.
Yeah.
Where the pastor was caught in the car with a guy.
The pasture?
The pastor.
Oh. I thought you said pasture.
No, not the field. The field wasn't in the car. The car might have been in the field, but the field wasn't in the car.
Okay.
But the pastor was caught with...
pasture?
No.
I thought you said pasture.
Maybe I'm saying it with a Wisconsin accent. I'm not saying pasture. Pastor.
Louis Pasteur.
Anyway, the dude was caught doing a dude in his car, and he said he was giving him, like, talking to him.
The guy was bound up in the back seat.
But it's like, that's not how... You
have a naked guy bound in your car, and you're not in the driver's seat.
Pants.
None of this makes any sense.
You weren't just talking.
I remember that story. Yeah. That was a fun story. We should do a follow-up, see if anything has happened.
Oh, that guy, his wife is probably still standing behind the door.
What's going on
probably
here,
a serial killer now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, don't you remember that, though, where his wife was angrily like...
Oh, yeah.
I fucking the camera like, you get away from my fucking husband.
How dare you question this honorable man?
She looked mad at him, I thought.
Well, maybe she was just mad at the whole world.
She probably knew.
Like that, I imagine that if you're in a committed relationship like that for that long, and
now you're dirty laundry.
Now this comes out, and the news is appearing on your porch. I imagine you're just kind of pissed off at the world in general.
Yeah,
my life has been a lie. Yeah. That'll wrap things up for us for the regular portion of the show. We'll be moving into the Patreon portion coming up very soon, in which we'll be doing a lot of fun things. If you would like to hear the Patreon portion of the show, you can do so by becoming a member of our Patreon patron subscribers.
You can patronage us.
For as little as $1 per episode, you get extended episodes, early releases, and bonus episodes on occasion. You also get a lot of other fun goodies at different levels if you want to pay more per episode. And if you value and like what we're doing, we would greatly appreciate you doing that, becoming a Patreon patron and supporting the show.
Yeah.
And before I go, I want to make sure that we thank our existing Patreon patrons. That would be Alan Firth.
Numania.
Christy Callback.
Gaytheist.
Larry Wilson.
Stephen Andrews.
Let them eat covfefe.
Two skeptical chaps.
Michelle Short.
Vanessa.
Free Thinker 215.
Utah Outcast.
Janet Uter.
Marius Katbuchakowski.
Wes Aaron.
Andrew Vodopich.
Taylor Grant.
And
Jellica Pearson.
Jeremy Goodson.
Brandy Hamrick.
Megan Kennedy.
The Faz.
Jeff Peterson.
Jesse Pointer.
Savita Kuna.
And the Purple Dragon.
Yay, Grant.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're going to move into the Patreon section of the show. So until next week, crucify those fucking hypocrites.
Leave a review and find out what $30 gets you.
That's good.
Oh, why not? Rate the two skeptical chaps 5 times a day toward Mecca. I've enjoyed knowing those guys, too.
Me too. They're good guys.
What the fuck did they give them?
Can't believe I fucked up that word. Right at the very end, goddammit. I decided that for every episode in October, I was going to bring a scary story. A little creepypasta.
Oh. And then the episode that we do for Halloween. So it's, I don't know how, well, we didn't talk about it off air.
Okay.
But no, let's talk about it now because otherwise I'll fucking forget. Do we want to do scary stuff all the way up until the October?
We should probably do it
until the Halloween thing, like because we're going to be recording on Halloween again this year.
So we should probably do that one, our creepypasta Halloween episode,
the
week before, so it comes out
the
week of Halloween.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I should have done one last week.
We don't think. Hey, do you want to talk about another shitty human being?
Okay, sure. Who?
Oh, I was trying to do it lead in.